Hi, I'm John from Just Whiskey. If you like today's show, please give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And consider becoming a Patreon with the link in the description below. And speaking of Patreons, I'd like to give a special thanks to two new recent Patreon subscribers, and they are Alex Wu. Thank you very much, Alex, for helping support this channel and making it possible for me to continue my journey and share it with you. And then also Lachlan MacLean. I hope I pronounced that right. Lachlan MacLean. Thank you very much, Lachlan, for becoming a Patreon as well and helping support this channel. Today we are going to be reviewing Springbank 10 August 17th, 2021 bottling. So it came out a little more than a year ago. Okay. And as we know, Springbank, depending on the year, has multiple bottlings of the 10-year-old. I think in 2019, which I reviewed a while ago, at least 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 bottling releases for 2019. So today, August 17th, bottling 2021. Springbank, always 46% with the 10-year-old, non-chill filtered, no coloring added. Before I start the review, I'm going to do some interesting news and just give me some feedback in the comment section. I'm actually considering doing a separate show every now and then called Just News. Okay. So today we're going to have a little bit of Just News and then a Just Whiskey review. So if you don't want to hear the Just News, then fast forward a few minutes to get to the Springbank 10 review. Interesting news about China. Pernod Ricard and Diageo are investing $150 million into Chinese distilleries. Okay. And then in separate news, okay, in the Global Times, there is the first ever, to my knowledge, container ship that just left Scotland that's going to China. And this was their pilot run. They're going to be having upwards of 6 ships carrying up to 1,600 containers going back and forth from a direct route from China to Scotland, because many of the global ports are just becoming too congested and becoming bottlenecked. But it's also for the global demand for Scotch whiskey. Okay, and so the Chinese cargo ship that just unloaded in Scotland, okay, they unloaded textiles, furniture, packaging materials, bathroom appliances, fitness equipment, beauty supplies, toys, Christmas gifts, Christmas decorations, I should say, and footwear. Okay, what the Chinese cargo ship left with from Scotland was beer, confectionery, gin, paper, shortbread, water, oil, gas, machinery, and over 1 million bottles of whiskey. I'm assuming it's Scotch whiskey. Okay, so that's why I'm presenting this news to you. The global demand for whiskey, but I'm focusing on Scotch whiskey, is skyrocketing. Okay, which might have something to do with increased demand, not enough supply, increased prices. There's a lot more variables in there, fuel being one of those, cost of goods, obviously. So I think that's very interesting news. And to put that in a little bit in perspective, the Chinese population is approximately as of 2022, approximately 1.4 billion people. It's very close to the Indian population as well. India is about 1.4 roughly. The United States population in 2022 is 333 million people. So the U.S. population, compared to either China or India, is less than 1/4 the size. But yet, the United States, China, India, France, Japan, those 4 or 5 that I just mentioned are countries are the biggest consumers of Scotch whiskey. Okay, so I thought that was worth sharing, and I have other news, but I'm just kind of, for the sake of the review, I'm going to kind of cut that short. But I just wanted to share that with you, which I thought was interesting. So again, in the comments, if you'd like me to do a Just News segment every now and then without a whiskey review, but of course I'm still going to do the whiskey reviews. But just let me know if you prefer a separate Just News show, and then I would do that, and then I would do the reviews separate. All right, Springbank 10, August 17th, 2021. 2 or 3 years ago, I could buy Springbank 10 for $60 to $70. Now it's $80 to $90 and upwards. In some places, really trying to gouge you. If you can find it, you might be paying over $100 for a Springbank 10. I don't have any control over this. This is a 750 milliliter bottle, and my understanding, this bottling is 60% bourbon and 40% sherry. That's my understanding. Okay, on the nose, I'm getting candy cigarettes and that little chalkiness, a slight barnyard funk, light sherry notes, more berries, like strawberries, strawberry licorice. Okay. A very nice palate. So you're getting slightly sweet, a little bit of that barley sugar. The malt is there. Behind that, you're getting some berries, predominantly strawberry. There's a light peat, a light heat. As far as viscosity and mouth texture, in my opinion, this particular bottling, it would do it a little more justice if it was a couple percent higher in ABV. That's just my opinion and perspective. But other than that, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. I can't fault this in any way. The finish is a medium plus. Leading into a slight dryness, a little pepperiness in the finish as well. And after a few minutes, you're left with a light drying ashiness. Okay, like a light drying cigarette kind of an ash in the background. The more time you let this open up, the more time in the glass, you will get rewarded. You will be rewarded for that. I played around with water before I did the review. I prefer it without water in this, in this case. Yeah. How would I score this? I can't fault it at all. I just, wish in one hand and what in the other. One fills up first. But in my opinion, if this was a couple percent higher in ABV, you might get more of that, more viscosity. But other than that, it's a beautiful dram. It's solid. For my enjoyment, for this bottling, I'm going to give it between an 87 and an 88, but I'm going to end up with calling it a solid 88. That's my enjoyment factor. The quality, you might find other reviewers that will rate this 89 or a 90, and it's certainly all that. Considering price, there is no Springbank replacement, but I've done shows and talked about in the past about Springbank alternatives. And one that always comes to mind is Craig Alecky 13-year-old, which you can still find that for $50 to $60, whereas the Springbank 10, you're paying closer to $100 now, unfortunately, for it. So if you can't find a bottle of Springbank 10, Craig Alecky, it's apples and oranges. Craig Alecky 13 is a Speyside. Springbank is a Campbelltown. All I'm saying, if you want a really nice whiskey, you can't go wrong with the Craig Alecky 13, which is readily available. Okay, and it's, in my opinion, it's debatable, but it's kind of the closest I can get out of so far that I found. Anyway, some people say Ben Romick is a Springbank equivalent. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but if you can't get Springbank 10, in my opinion, grab a Craig Alecky 13. You cannot go wrong. All right, that's it. Thank you very much for my Patreons and Alex Wu and Lachlan McLean. I hope I pronounced that correctly for both of you, and hope you enjoyed today's review. And please give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And hats off to you all, and take care.